way. You have to wait an entire year. An entire year where you then need to be successful not only in your own region, you need to be able to reach the levels where you just even get to Worlds. Then you need to hope probably for a good group draw. Then you need to make sure that your teammates and everything is coming together at the right time. Maybe that it's a good meta for your team. Like, there's so many pieces that have to come together, and that's why, you know, losses on these levels is so heartbreaking, and why you see the response, and not only from the fans but from the players here too, especially the players, because they pour their hearts and their souls into this game and into the practice for it, and losing that one game, that can be something that haunts you for years.
Can you imagine going in front of, again, your home crowd? He's from Wuhan. This was, you know, MSI 2015, that was LeBlanc's, or Faker's undefeated LeBlanc. Today, it was Scout's undefeated LeBlanc. That is the first time that it's taken a loss. There is such a strong, you couldn't script a better love story between SKT and EDG at this point. The amount of times that these guys keep running into each other and what it builds into.
All right, well, today's results mean that it will be SKT and C9 advancing to the quarterfinals from Group A, while EDG and AHQ are out of Worlds 2017. The LPL champions made a great run on the deciding day, but fell just short in a loss against SKT.
Well, SKT still remains that incredible late-game team, and the big part of why they are so deadly in that stage is when they draft accordingly. Bang's Twitch, even though they lost tower at 6 minutes, still finds a way to flash forward to continuously pressure the backline. One of the reasons why Twitch is such a powerful pick. Same with Faker's Orianna. They just need to draft themselves the tools to be able to execute those clutch moments, and clutch is the adjective that best describes SKT.
Yeah, they really are clutch, and clutch again for C9. This is 2 years in a row that C9 is actually depending on SKT after a 1-2 second week in the same group. Last year it was SKT having to beat Flash Wolves for C9 to get through. This year it's SKT having to beat EDG for C9 to get through. 2 out of 2 times they push the last remaining NA team into the quarterfinals.
All right, well, as we're minutes away from the knockout draw, and as we just took a look at the standings, the way the groups have broken down, I kind of want to pose the question to you. Which teams look the strongest? Who do you want to avoid going into that knockout stage if you were to be able to choose?
You avoid Leauge at all costs. Like, this team is on fire. As the official was mentioning, that is the #1 seed that has been able to retain their spot, and very rightfully so, because they are redefining the meta. I am sure they are not going to be strangers to Caitlyn when we come through, and they are playing the top lane split pushes that SKT have been trying with Huni as well. So this team you absolutely do not want to be playing against.
I don't want to steal any of the thunder from Leauge, because I do agree they are incredibly impressive, but I also think they might have been in the weakest group in terms of the actual performance that we saw from them. Yes, we got some crazy games from Gam, but you know, there was lack of adaptation from a couple of players and teams really choking. Incredibly impressive, but I also think they might have been that iteration group in an early game, and that's really the question I have. They might have been insulated.
And that's what I think is actually super, super interesting about all league analysis when you're coming to this international play, is it can be super hard to actually compare performances in different groups, right? So while Leauge looked exceptionally dominant, is it because their group is weaker, or is it because they are that much better, right? You know, they handled SKT quite handily in the LCK finals, and SKT tops this group, and while, you know, that kind of math doesn't always play out, I'm very excited to see how they actually match up against any of the second seeds, because I tend to agree that Leauge is a death sentence for any second seed that draws them.
I think every second seed is a death sentence. I don't think anyone actually can take down all the #1 seeds. Just look at them. You've got SKT, Leauge, RNG, and WE. Who from the second seed looks like they have a shot? I think
Samsung
only
Galaxy?
Samsung. Only Samsung. And they're not going to be able to take down one of the powerhouses of Korea, so their best bet would be against the LPL in some sort of stylistic mismatch.
If not Samsung Galaxy, I'd be looking at Misfits most likely.
To take a first seed down?
So it depends
I mean,
on the first seed.
if I have to choose is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's likely.
So I think that, like, while I certainly wouldn't be betting on Misfits, I think that Misfits, because of the improvement and the growth that they have shown, you know, they could be exciting. I wouldn't necessarily take them against a team that has been as consistent as SKT or Leauge or something, but perhaps, you know, WE has had some ups and downs. You know, they have shown some weaknesses. You know, maybe there's an opening there. RNG has looked brilliant in group stages, but we've had group stages past, you know, at MSI, thinking back, where they went 8-2 and then, you know, kind of burned out in the elimination stages. So these are teams that have not proven that they're exceptionally consistent throughout the elimination stage, and maybe you can attack them.
There's a lot of maybes there. That's the point, right? It's going to be an uphill battle for a team like Misfits, but they're definitely equipped to do it if they show up on the day. The other thing I want to talk about is the way the regions broke down, right? Of course, we do still have
we did
three.
Break down.
And they made it out. Yes. We do still have, of course, 3 Korean teams through, 2 LPL, 2 Europe, and 1 NA. What are our thoughts there in terms of the region's performances here at Worlds and moving on?
Do you want my harsh reality?
Yeah, let's go.
I'm going to get flamed so hard. I honestly feel like the better team didn't make it out of Group A today. I feel like EDG their highs were much higher than the highs that we saw from Cloud9. And while Cloud9 were more consistent from week 1 to week 2, and that's why they deserve to take the spot, if I'm talking about at both teams playing at their best, the best performance that we saw from EDG outclassed almost everyone versus the best performance that we saw from Cloud9.
I think everyone would agree with you.
You're
actually.
Too nice. That sounds really
I'm scared I'm going to open up social media.
Yeah,
we're like, yep.
So maybe some diehard fans would disagree, but yes, Cloud9 deserves to get out because they had a better week 1 performance, right? But are they the better team overall? No, I don't think so. I think that EDG showed higher highs, but at the end of the day, you have to succeed in the format that is given, right? And so much about Worlds is consistency, and we see that time and time again from the Korean teams. We do not see that time and time again from the other regions, and that I think is why you see them, falter at Worlds, and why we saw so many #1 seeds, getting eliminated is because of the lack of consistency, not because of how good they can be at their best. When you look at G2, TSM, EDG, and the Flash Wolves all falling out in groups, it's not because these teams can't have great moments, it's because they didn't have great moments consistently over 2 weeks. And that is what it takes to succeed at Worlds.
And this is all before we even begin the conversation around the meta and the way it's developed here at Worlds, right? It's usually when we get to those best of 5s, when people start bringing out those pocket picks, we start seeing the MF supports of last year really throwing wrenches and stuff. Exactly. So it's going to be exciting to see which of these teams, again, in practice. We got the Caitlyn innovation here, and which ones will be quick to adapt and who will come in kind of striking the first blow in those best of 5s.
I think that is going to be super exciting, also because we know that the Korean teams are usually so confident about making it out of groups that they're willing to save strategies. They're willing to hold back things. When you think about MF in the semifinals, Rocks versus SKT, that was not shown at all. Zyra became a big pick in the quarterfinals and going forward, not in the group stages. I'm very excited to see what innovation is going to come forward, and also, honestly, how the brackets shape up, because we could have one side of the group with 3 Koreans. We could have them split up across. If you get that 3 Korean side on one side, it almost has an amazing chance for the LPL.
I've got to cut you off because it is now time for us to go ahead and send it down to the LPL's Rendong for the draw of our knockout stage matchups.
淘汰赛阶段的抽签仪式现场，大家好，我是任栋。
大家好，我是余生。
是的，那么曾经怀揣着冠军梦想的24支战队，到目前为止只剩下最后的8支战队了。那么接下来让我们一起来
what this Worlds tournament has been, where we started with 24 teams down to 8.
分别是 SKT、龙珠。
Running through the teams of Pool A. These are the first seeds out of their group. Wolf, the representative from SKT, Gorilla of Longzhou, Ming of RNG, and Zero of WE. On the flip side, we've got the second seeds qualifying through. Jensen from C9, Caps from Fnatic, Kuve of Samsung Galaxy, and Maxlor of the Misfits.
You have to love how happy Caps is there.
He can't help himself. They made it.
I mean, they did what EDG almost did. The fact that we almost had 2 teams go through like that is phenomenal.
It's always nice, though, that we got both EU and NA out to quarterfinals.
Running through some of the rules, of course, don't worry. We've got plenty of people behind the scenes checking every single one of the picks to make sure that the draws are validated, and we will deliver that information to you as we receive it.
我们接下来将要请出今天的抽签嘉宾，让我们欢迎 OMG Icon。
有请 Icon。
So Icon,
go for it.
Yeah, Icon is the mid laner for OMG. A lot of people will recognize as Cool was the former big mid laner, but he actually transferred teams to Newbie and then to LGD.
Where do I get my hands